Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This week, a Chinese bus in Guizhou province crashed, killing 27 people and injuring 20, which is a tragedy in its own right. But that bus was taking people to a COVID quarantine camp. And while the crash killed 27 people, only 2 people have died from COVID in that same province since the pandemic struck almost 3 years ago, at least according to official statistics. And now there's a public outcry, because people didn't get on that bus willingly. They were being forcibly hauled off to government quarantine. And it's not even clear whether these people even had COVID. Authorities just said the people on the bus were pandemic related. So they could have just been people from areas where cases were detected. Here's how China's zero COVID policy works. Even people who test negative but are just close contacts of COVID patients can get hauled off to quarantine. And a close contact doesn't even mean someone who lives in the same apartment. It can mean anyone who lives in the same apartment building, or who happened to be in a grocery store at the same time as someone who later tests positive. Which is why you constantly see videos of people trying to get out when some place goes into lockdown, like this Costco. Really gives a new meaning of going on a Costco run. Basically, because of how broad and strict China's zero COVID policy is, this bus crash could have happened to anyone. Which is why the Chinese public is seeing itself among the victims, a country being held hostage by the government's harsh policy. People protested online, spreading news of the bus crash, saying, "We're on that bus too." They shared on social media an old article with the headline, "Evil is prevalent because we obey unconditionally." According to one writer, the saddest part is not that we are witnessing pointless deaths, but that we're living lowly, obedient, and twisted lives, and dying of lowly, obedient, and twisted deaths. And this outpouring of grief and rage finally prompted the Chinese Communist Party to reflect on its policy. And just kidding. First, they tried to channel all that public anger toward local officials instead of the party. Then they punished 3 local officials, censored the public outcry, and did literally nothing to fundamentally change their zero COVID policy. So, not the change people were looking for. Never is. Speaking of terrible COVID policy,